Well, attention on presidential candidates can often bring additional voters to the polls, and that can impact other races on the ballot as well.
Iowa Capitol Bureau reporter Connor Hendricks looks at the possible impact President Biden's departure from the race means in the Hawkeye state.
I caught up with 3 candidates running for Congress, and all had different takes on how President Biden's decision will impact their race. Sarah Corkery, a Democrat running for Congress in eastern Iowa's 2nd congressional district, called on President Biden to step down last week. She thinks the president's exit from the race will help her chances.
Oh, I believe this will strongly help me and all candidates running because it's fresh. It's a little bit of a risk, but you know what? We need to take calculated risks sometimes instead of just following the plan that has been put in place.
Ryan Melton, a Democrat running in northwest Iowa's 4th congressional district, says most voters he talks to are more concerned about the issues, not who's on the ticket. Still, Melton says if anything, Biden's decision will help.
I would assume if anything, it's going to help. It's going to help the campaign, not just in avoiding the possibility that people stayed home because of Biden being at top of the ticket.
Republican Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks, who's running for re-election in eastern Iowa's 1st congressional district, says Republicans win on the issues and the party is unified.
Regardless of who is on the ticket, this is the Biden-Harris administration that has created these struggles for the American people, and we have a hopeful, unified vision on how to help them to have better lives come January.
Tim Hagel, a political science professor at the University of Iowa, says the shakeup may excite the Democratic Party's core base, but independent voters care more about policy.
A lot of times we have various side issues that maybe come up and so forth, but the main issues that really affect voters, and particularly those middle voters, are usually the economic issues, the kitchen table issues, jobs, economy, health care, this time around immigration.
Polls show President Biden has been unpopular here in Iowa. Harris now faces the challenge of trying to convince voters who are dissatisfied with Biden that she'll do better on the issues than Biden was. In Des Moines, I'm Connor Hendricks reporting.